No one has been a bigger supporter of the United States Capitol Police than I have, and I'm really disappointed that Speaker Johnson would try to use them in a political fight over whether we provide health care for millions of Americans and get our government funded. So I'm going to continue to support Capitol Police, to continue to support the brave men and women who defended the Capitol during the siege on January 6, 2021. Speaker Johnson has not been a help in that regard, and I'm disappointed to see him using these brave men and women in his political fight.
Well, it is day 9 of the government shutdown, and Americans are starting to feel the impacts. Right now, some federal workers are furloughed as military members brace for their last paycheck on October 15th. Just hours ago, the Senate failed again to pass a stopgap funding bill, and members of the House, they're still on recess. Well, Congresswoman Lucy McBath is among Georgia Democrats urging House Speaker Mike Johnson to reopen the House so lawmakers can negotiate a deal to end the government shutdown. Now, Republicans, they want to pass the current spending bill and address health policy later. But with Obamacare tax credits set to expire at the end of the month, Congresswoman McBath says Congress can't afford to wait. I spoke with her earlier today, and she had a clear message for House Speaker Mike Johnson.
I would really hope and pray that if the Republicans, and if this is what they're espousing, then actually come back to Washington, Speaker Johnson, call us back to have votes. Don't speak and then do nothing. You have to follow up with actions that truly represent, what you really intend to do. We have done this before. We've been around this mountain before. And the Democratic Party, my colleagues we're just standing in defense of the ability for the American people to not be hoodwinked. And so if it is your intention, Speaker Johnson and the Republican Party, to negotiate, then call us back so that we can come to the table, find a bipartisan agreement, and make sure that this government shutdown is over and that the American people have the health care that they deserve.
Now, House Speaker Johnson has previously said that there is no room for negotiation. Well, this week, Georgia Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, she said that she's not a fan of Obamacare by any means, but she doesn't want to see these healthcare premiums double for Americans. Both Democrats and Republicans, they continue to point the finger at who's responsible for this shutdown. But all Americans do agree that they don't want the government shut down anymore. You can watch my full interview with Congresswoman McBath on 11 Alive Plus, and we'll have much more on this coming up on the Georgia Vote this Sunday at 11.
I'm a very patient guy, but I have had it with these people. They're playing games with real people's lives. The theory we have right now, they have a Hate America rally that's scheduled for October 18th on the National Mall. It's all the pro-Hamas wing and the Antifa people. They're all coming out. Some of the House Democrats are selling T-shirts for the event, and it's being told to us that they won't be able to reopen the government until after that rally because they can't face their rabid base. I mean, this is serious business hurting real people. And I'm beyond words. I can't believe they're actually doing this.
We're already seeing paychecks missed, soldiers lining up at food kitchens. Are you concerned that this fight for health care that Democrats are waging here might end up hurting Americans the longer the shutdown drags out?
Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They decided to shut the government down. Republicans in the House have decided to remain on vacation. Republicans canceled votes last week, they canceled votes this week, and now they've canceled votes next week. They're not serious about reopening the government. Republicans aren't even serious about paying our active duty troops.
But they have voted for temporary government funding legislation.
Republicans have voted for a partisan spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people.
We've just launched this whistleblower protection line. It's a tip line also, and it's for anyone. So for one, if you're a federal employee and you understand that your superior is breaking the law or asking you to do something that is unethical or illegal, we want to hear from you. If you are someone that's a survivor of Epstein or you have information within the FBI that's critical for that case, let us know. This is a new opportunity for folks to get us information, whether you are a whistleblower, and by the way, whistleblowers have protection, as we all know, when they actually come to us, or if you are a worker that needs to get us critical information about what's happening in your agency. That's what this website, you can talk to somebody on the phone, you can give us information on the website. We've set up a very secure team of professionals that can work with the public on this. And so you can find that on the oversight website. We're doing everything we can to collect information as we move forward to really right all these wrongs of the Trump administration.
Hi, I'm Congressman Tim Walberg, and I'm proud to represent Michigan's 5th District. I share the frustrations of many of my constituents at a shutdown that shouldn't be happening. On October 1st, we went into shutdown mode because Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate refused to follow the agreement that had been made in the House by Democrats and Republicans on the Appropriations Committee that we would have a continuous resolution, basically a spending plan that was exactly as the same that we are under right now, we're under, and would be experiencing if we had passed the legislation that we ultimately passed in the House on September 19th. Since then, the Senate has voted 7 times to not support the troops and their families, 7 times not to fund FAA and air traffic controllers, 7 times not to fund TSA. This bill that they're opposing was a bill that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats supported 13 times under Biden and 1 time under President Trump in March. This bill has no changes from present spending levels, except for some security dollars put in at Democrat and Republican request subsequent to the Charlie Kirk assassination. I'm proud to say that I supported the funding of the troops. I supported the funding of their families. I supported the funding of the FAA and air traffic controllers and TSA agents and the government in general. And I'm proud to say that I'm willing to work to find the best solution for our spending plan in Washington once government opens. In the meantime, you can count on this office to be there for you. If you reach out to our office at walberg.house.gov or give us a call at our local offices, we'll be there to address your concerns and represent you the best way we possibly can.
Hey, Alaska, if any state in the country knows one of our national security challenges, it's this, and it's us. We have an icebreaker gap. Right now we have 2 icebreakers. One is broken, and the Russians have 54, many of which are nuclear-powered, weaponized. But here's the really good news. We are closing the icebreaker gap in a whole bunch of ways. Just in August, we were in Juneau to commission the icebreaker, the Coast Guard icebreaker, the Storis. It was a great ceremony. That's exciting. I've been working on that for 10 years. The One Big Beautiful Bill, the Budget Reconciliation, Working Families, Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, has $300 million in shoreside infrastructure just for Juneau to home port that icebreaker. Then, that bill also has the biggest buildup in the Coast Guard's history for icebreakers, cutters, helicopters. I chair that subcommittee, the Coast Guard subcommittee. We're going to have at least 16 new icebreakers because of that bill. 3 are what they call medium security icebreakers. And guess where I'm going to work my tail off to get them home ported? In our great state. That's the other great news. And then finally, yesterday, hopefully you saw it, the President Trump and the President of Finland announced more progress on this ice pact, $6.1 billion in having the Finns help us build and purchase icebreakers for us, hopefully for Alaska. I've talked to the President of Finland about this. President Trump's been on this icebreaker gap way since his first term. This is real progress, and the one state that's going to benefit better than anyone is us. Stay tuned.
Hey everyone, it's Lori. I want to take a minute to break down what's really going on with this government shutdown. Over the past 2 weeks, the White House and Republicans in Congress have been pointing fingers. But here's the reality. Most of them have spent that time on vacation while the federal government has shut down, and no one wins when that happens. Here's what you need to know. Donald Trump is in the White House. Republicans control the Senate, and Republicans control the House of Representatives. That means they have total control of the federal government right now. It's their job to figure out how to fund the government, including how to work with Democrats to make sure it actually gets done. Instead, they've walked away from the negotiating table. They want it their way and their way only. And they don't care that if they fail to act, 20 million Americans could lose their health care. They don't care that 22 million Americans are being notified this month that their premiums are about to skyrocket. In Massachusetts alone, 240,000 people would lose coverage. So what does a shutdown mean for you? Well, it means service members missing a paycheck, small businesses stuck in limbo, families wondering if they'll get the support that they've earned and that they rely on. This is reckless, it's harmful, and it didn't have to happen. Democrats are still at the table, ready to work in good faith. But right now, Republicans are refusing to do their job. This shutdown is on them.
2 weeks ago, 4 major media outlets reported that Tom Homan, the president's top deportation official working in the White House, took $50,000 in cash in a bag from undercover FBI agents in September 2024, just over a year ago. According to these reports, Homan indicated he would facilitate securing contracts in exchange for money once he was in office in a future Trump administration. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt denied Homan took the $50,000, telling a reporter, quote, "Mr. Homan never took the $50,000 that you're referring to, so you should get your facts straight." So today I hope you can help us get our facts straight. Was that true, what the White House press secretary said when she denied Homan took the money? Did he take the money?
Senator Schiff, as I stated earlier, I was not in office. I was not confirmed when that was handled.
So does that mean
Deputy Attorney General Blanche and Director Patel said that there was no evidence that Tom Homan committed a crime. Yet now you're putting his picture up to slander him.
No, I'm putting his picture up showing an interview he gave with, I think, Fox, in which he was asked explicitly about these allegations that he took a $50,000 bribe, and he refused to answer. You were asked by my colleague from Vermont whether you will support providing a video or audio tape, if it exists, of Mr. Homan taking $50,000 in bribe money from the FBI. Will you support a request by this committee to provide that tape or tapes to the committee? Yes or no?
Senator Schiff, you can talk to Director Patel about that.
Well, I'm talking to you about it. You're the Attorney General. This will be your decision. Will you support?
You don't have to tell me what is my decision and what is not my decision. I said you can talk to Director Patel.
You don't have to try to.
You think you've got a gotcha with Tom Homan, our borders are.
Excuse me.
Who's been out there fighting for our country since Donald Trump took office.
I'm trying to ask a question. Regular order, please. And you don't have to defer to the FBI director to pass the buck. So I'm asking you, will you support a request so that the committee, or indeed, I believe the American people should be able to see that video or audio tape? Will you support that request?
Will you apologize to Donald Trump for trying to impeach
I guess the answer is you won't support that request.
After you now...
I feel like we have to address all of the comments that have been made, but especially the last entire amount of time that was designed to suggest that this is a shutdown on anyone's watch other than the Democrats. And we cannot let that go unanswered. And I agree with Ms. Abruzzo that this is a system designed against workers in the sense that this whole design of this shutdown, led by Shutdown Schumer and these Democrats that won't just keep the funding going for a few weeks while we can figure out next year's spending, it is their design to blame it on President Trump, to blame it on the Republicans, but it is in fact the Democrats who have decided not to continue funding. So they have to spend an entire time, when I really want to get to bipartisan solutions for labor. I was very excited. I have all these suggestions, especially Florida. I feel like we've done a lot of things right for workers. You cannot have somebody sit here and put in front of the American people that the government is shut down because of President Trump or because of the Republicans. It is on the backs of the Democrats, who we've given them time and time again the opportunity to show up and vote yes, let's keep the government open so we can engage in these bipartisan conversations. As someone whose oldest boy is in the Army, as someone who understands that people are facing not getting paychecks, and I think we just heard 5 minutes of comments on this rather than getting to bipartisan solutions on labor, because someone comes from a state where they have a lot of people that are employed by the federal government, and they, by golly, need to blame it on someone else besides the Democrats that are not showing up and voting to open this government. And it makes me incredibly sad because we have really hardworking people in this country that are not going to get their paycheck very soon. And so I appreciate you letting me indulge in correcting the record, because we are here to do important work. This president, more than any president in my memory, has said, how can we come together in a way that is pro-worker and pro-business, American business, and do right? And focus on how we can maybe tweak our laws to have a better system in place. I'm all about that. And I appreciate you, sir, for coming in here today and saying, I've asked my members, let's come at this from a politically blind way. Who are the best people and what are the best policies that we can push forward in this new age of America, the golden age of America, where we're focusing not on how do we ensure strong free markets, less red tape, better ability to build businesses, can support our workers and our families, and also have a strong backbone to support those business and our American workers. So thank you for saying that. I took note of that, and I thought that was especially useful.
Republicans are relying on having Democrats in the Senate over a barrel. And the choices that they have to make is whether or not federal employees will miss a paycheck or have to rely on reimbursement, or whether or not we're going to kick 15 million people off their health care, or whether or not we're going to have the average person who is relying on the Affordable Care Act premiums to have them on. That we understand that President Trump won the election and that they have control of the House and the Senate and apparently even the Supreme Court. But we are not going to minimize our responsibility to Americans to not only prevent individuals losing their health care, but ultimately dismantling the healthcare system as we know it in America.
The nation of Qatar, unfortunately, has historically been a funder of terrorism at a very high level. And in the wake of that conference, nations came together and spoke to me about confronting Qatar over its behavior.
The Senate will leave town now today until Tuesday for the Columbus weekend, meaning that the government shutdown will not be resolved this week. Your reaction?
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. You know, the House did its job passing this continuing resolution 3 weeks ago today on September the 19th. So the Senate has had ample time to get this done, and they've taken now X number of votes to pass the same continuing resolution that we passed in the House. I look at that clip that you just played from Chuck Schumer, and I think how insensitive he is to so many people's needs, that he views this maybe as a political victory when it's affecting not only government employees, but my constituents who are being denied the services that they anticipate that they're able to receive from the federal government. So Schumer's absolutely tone deaf.
In terms of strategy, if you could speak to your strategy on keeping the House out in their districts and any idea when they may come back.
This is not a strategy call to keep the House working in their districts right now. There's an urgent necessity of it. We had a conference call yesterday with House Republicans. They're fanned out across the country. They're in their districts trying to help their constituents because so many of them are now struggling because of the Democrats' games. So they're helping, for example, rural hospitals to access the funds that we got signed into law July 4th, $50 billion rural hospital fund, so they can provide for health care for their constituents. They need to know how to navigate that before Chuck Schumer and the Democrats try to take it away. Their counterproposal CR would spend $1.5 trillion and take away the $50 billion that we passed into law just on July 4th, signed into law by President Trump, to prop up rural hospitals. Who cares about health care here? Okay, our members are out working diligently in their districts, serving their constituents right now. We will come back here and get back to legislative session as soon as the Senate Democrats turn the lights back on. That's the fact. That's where we are. Yes, ma'am.
No member of Congress should be paid when we're withholding pay from government workers all across this country, including members of the military, for goodness sakes, air traffic controllers, Transportation Safety Administration workers. It would be unconscionable, I believe, for any member of Congress to accept their pay under these circumstances. The Congress voted now almost, going on 3 weeks ago on September the 19th to continue government funding and keep the government working. And unfortunately, Leader Schumer has orchestrated the Schumer shutdown, a Democrat-led shutdown, to put lots of people in a tough spot. And, we're going to begin to see government workers miss their paychecks. And we know that many Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So this is really indefensible, all happening because Chuck Schumer is worried about those on his progressive left in his party, some of them radical Marxists, for goodness sakes, who think they're winning. And Chuck Schumer himself said yesterday he thinks he's winning. Who could think that you're winning when you're depriving Americans of the earnings that they earn in their jobs or for the benefits that they badly need? So misguided policy on the part of Chuck Schumer to get us into this Schumer shutdown.
MAGA Republicans should be thanking us for giving them an off-ramp to undo the horrendous cuts that are going to ruin people's lives. But here's what's at stake if we don't hold our ground. A couple weeks ago, I visited a nursing home in Lakewood, Colorado. Many Americans don't know this, but Medicaid covers the cost of roughly 60% of residents in nursing homes across the country. At the facility I visited in Lakewood, over 90% of the residents are there because of Medicaid. I sat in a circle surrounded by residents, some with disabilities, and their caregivers, all trying to understand what these cuts meant for their health. One resident told me point blank that Medicaid saved his life. His health care, his medication, the roof over his head is now under threat with these cuts coming to Medicaid. Democrats are fighting for one thing, to protect the essential care that millions of Americans rely on every single day.
What we've learned is that there were multiple reasons why a state would want to have illegal immigrants. One, if you're a sanctuary city for illegals, then your population in the census goes up and you get more representation in Congress. Two is that you're able to draw down more federal dollars for your hospitals. And so they basically put all of these illegal immigrants on Medicaid in order to draw down more federal dollars to their Medicaid system, whether they use it or not. And so it was basically a way to kind of launder money back to the states. So there was a lot of incentives for them to do that. And what we've done with the One Big Beautiful Bill has upended all of this. And when Trump is going in and actually deporting people, it's ruining the Democrats' plans.
What's up, guys? It's Dave Min here, and I am standing just in front of John Wayne Airport here, which I represent in Orange County. Right behind me, you see the air traffic control tower, and we're entering day 10 of the Trump administration's government shutdown. Now, I'm here because I want to emphasize the stakes of this particular shutdown. This is not just an abstract thing with some numbers out there being cut. This is affecting real people, and I just want to emphasize we cannot lose sight of how damaging this shutdown continues to be for federal employees, including the many hardworking air traffic controllers and TSA safety professionals that work right here in this airport behind me. Now, today, air traffic controllers are expected to miss their first paycheck as a direct consequence of the Trump shutdown. Like many Americans, they work paycheck to paycheck. But unlike other jobs, theirs carries enormous stress and a unique responsibility to keep millions of travelers safe every day. Many controllers are already working mandatory overtime, frequently 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, to make up for chronic understaffing at the FAA, which remains thousands of controllers short of its own internal target. Now we're asking them to come to work every day, not getting paid, with no sense as to when they will receive their next paycheck. And these are real people with struggles to pay the bills. They got to pay for mortgages and rents, put food on the table just like the rest of us. And right now they're worried about their future, their ability to pay those bills, all because Donald Trump and House Republicans want to deny 15 million Americans, an additional 15 million Americans, their affordable health insurance. And this is obviously adding up over time. The effects of the shutdown are going to add up over time. And we saw this recently, just last week. The Hollywood Burbank Airport, approximately an hour north of here, was left without a single air traffic controller for nearly 6 hours, causing a number of flight delays and cancellations. Thousands of aviation safety professionals have already been furloughed, meaning that critical safety work like maintenance and repairs for the aging equipment that air traffic controllers use every day is not being performed. And disruptions like this will only grow the longer this shutdown continues. But what is Congress doing about this? We've been on vacation, getting paid, I might add. And so Mike Johnson has now called for a fourth straight week of the House of Representatives being out of session. And meanwhile, these folks who are on an extended vacation, playing golf, doing fundraisers, continue to get paid. I deferred my pay because I don't think I should get paid right now when federal employees are not getting paid. But this is an outrage. We need to get back to work. I am ready. I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. again, just as I was last week and the week before and the week before, ready to work whenever Mike Johnson is ready to get serious about trying to reopen the federal government. Donald Trump, Mike Johnson, and congressional Republicans need to get their act together. They need to reopen the federal government. They need to restore 15 million Americans affordable health insurance, and they need to ensure that federal workers, including the air traffic controllers and TSA professionals that I represent, get the pay that...
Look, this is so important because the only president we have had who has the courage to stand up to communist China, call it what it is, they have a 100-year plan to take over the world. It isn't about, way we just want to work with you and be an adversary or maybe be a trading partner. They want to dominate and control, and they use every means necessary. They don't roll tanks into places. They use their Belt and Road Initiative. They use their trading power. They go to poorer nations, and whether it's Africa, South Africa, or South America, Central America, it's a huge problem, and President Trump is countering this. He's using tariffs, which he has the power to do in an emergency situation, to try to make sure that we protect our supply chains, whether it's the chips, whether it's our really important medications that are serious medications from everything we witnessed during COVID, holding them accountable for COVID, something the feckless Joe Biden never did, nor did his staff, who really ran everything with the auto pen. This is what is so important right now. No one has stood up to China like President Trump has. I do think that's a main reason why he was reelected against all odds. No one has ever faced the kind of scrutiny and the kind of lawfare, you name everything they've thrown at him. They could.
I just want to be clear. So for the plan that you have now, or you would go from $1,100 per month to how much?
$3,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's to cover you and your husband?
And my husband, yeah. When I looked at the lowest price insurance where I could still keep my doctor, it was going to be $2,700 a month, and we would have a $21,000 deductible, which to me, that's like not having insurance.
What do you think about the fact that Republicans are not willing to extend these ACA tax credits, which is basically a tax cut for middle and working class families, but they're offering these huge tax cuts to billionaires?
Yeah, there's a lot of hardworking people out here who own small businesses like my husband and myself, and we're contributing to our communities, we're contributing to the economy, we're really hustling, to make things work, and it just seems like we're being overlooked, and Republicans are putting wealthy people first and really trying to pull the wool over our eyes. I've heard they even want to change the name of the big, beautiful bill to try to make people think it was a tax cut for middle-class people. But it's not. When you hurt people this badly, we notice.
So Sarah and her husband have a farming business and a construction business. These are people who are really contributing to the community. and now they're being dumped on by their own government. I'm going to keep fighting for Sarah. We ought to extend these ACA tax credits. It's not just the right thing to do, it's that. But when you think about small businesses and their contribution to our community, it's the smart thing to do. I hope my Republican friends will join me in reopening the government and extending these tax credits.